Welcome to Learn the Sword. With both toe in hand, let's bring this out to a center stance and practice just a little bit of drawing. Very easily, keeping your arms at your side akimbo and then lifting, bending at the elbows. Not at the arms yet, bending at the elbows. Then you construct your triangle in this way. If you try to lift your arms up too much, then you can see you'll have all these different movements and patterns you can do, but they won't be consistent. Therefore, keep your arms together, keep them tight to your body. Sometimes my teacher used to make me put a zori or one of those thongs underneath my arm, and then I'd hold it in there, and every time I come up a little too high, I drop it. Well, that really taught me to keep my center nice and tight. So, here's what I'd like us to do. Stand tall, bend at the elbows, bring it up to your center stance this way, and your triangle. Then, bringing the sword forward just like that. And then bringing it back. A lot of times students have a tendency to lift their arms way up here and bring it in like this, which feels really nice. It feels like you're drawing the sword up. The hard part is that when you draw the sword or a bokuto or just bring it out in front is you don't want to telegraph your thoughts or intentions. And if this is a little grandiose, your opponent will know that too. So when someone is practicing like Shihan and they finish with the different cuts and strikes, then they move back into place. For some reason, they bring it up like this and they bring their hands down. If you finish Shihan and your sword is out in the center stance like this, just bring it back and down at your side. That's simple. Watch it again. Reverse engineer it. And down, side. Bring it back this way and down and bring it in. So, let's practice this for a while, moving around in the different angles. And just easily move your left foot forward or backward, or move your right foot forward or backward. It really doesn't matter at this time in your training. This way or this way. So just work that back and forth because eventually you're going to have to do both and you might as well be consistent. So go back and forth this way, go back and forth that way for more practical application. So, sword forward and back. Now after a while you're going to get tighter and you want to get a little faster and bring it in. You can do that. The hard part arises is that you start fluctuating and floating with your elbows. So remember, keep them tight and come in like this. Almost like a hamster. Hey, or a Tyrannosaurus Rex, depending on how tough you want to be at it. But if I keep my hands up like this, even a praying mantis sounds pretty good. But I like hamster. Nevertheless, if you keep your arms up like this, and you keep them low with the sword and ringing it, it will allow the tip to become much stronger. So remember that when you draw the sword into a center stance and make sure it's tight in there. The arms aren't up, but they're down. And forward. A different view. Try to keep your back straight. And you notice, coming full circle here, I'm just bringing off on the left side. Now, think about it. If you like to be proficient, bring it over here to the right side like this, or you're coming off the left. And you basically completely mirror one to another. This will feel a little funny, which is fine. Just bring it out and bring it back. Bring it out and bring it back. Now, just make sure that your right mirrors the left and go around and do this for a while. The nice thing about this is when you switch over to the right side, hey, this feels good. But when you switch over to the left side, it feels pretty good after you get a lot of repetition in there. Just remember, if this feels real tight, but this feels loose, make sure your arms are doing the same thing on this side. So over time, you can switch from this side to this side to this side without ever having to telegraph rough transitions. For example, down the road, you might want to be able to lift the sword and cut this way, come over here, throw out a jodan, lift it back up, and come in with a migi kesagiri, for example. So this will start teaching you where the transitions are. Down the road, you'll want to basically transition up above your head. So if I shoot down this way, bring it back up, and I shoot down this way. So you can see that if you start with your transition, set up and pull, set up and pull, set up and pull. It's two different movements. The set up and then go into the technique. A lot of times students want to put it all together, which feels good. It's nice and fluid, but it just doesn't create a good strong cut. It's like playing golf or hitting a target with a rifle. Just sometimes you might just be off a little bit, but you try to manhandle it and it makes it more off. And you've seen people beating the what do you call those? I forget the name. That's how often I play golf. Yes, a golf club, beating it onto the sand traps because they can't get it out. Same thing with the sword. You don't see the frustration, you just see one of those smiles and it doesn't feel good, it doesn't work good. This is where a lot of people come to a plateau and they stop. This is where you don't stop. This is where you're just starting. So try to practice, make sure that you keep everything nice and tight for something just as simple as a forward stance.